Hello and welcome to the Sidekin podcast. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoy the conversations that you are here to hear. Now, I talk about all things human design and the lived experience. So I'm really interested in what is your mechanical chart? What does your body graph look like? What are your mechanics? And how do you live that out? So you will hear from a lot of different guests, a lot of different designs, a lot of different life experiences on here, and they're all going to be really interesting. We're going to learn what it looks like to be ourselves, essentially. So click the like, subscribe, say hi in the comments, let me know where you're from, and let's have some fun. Great into all of the sex stuff that you're talking about because you're like, what about just having a relationship with me, my mind, my personality? And you're in one now. I'm so happy. Congratulations.
Thank
What's
you.
it
We're
like?
going, we're going pretty strong. In the beginning, he was a bit jealous because I called him cutie and he thought that I was calling other guys also cutie. But we're on a mend. He's opening up to me and yeah, we're pretty solid.
Oh my God. Please can you keep us posted about this? That's so funny.
I, I will. And you know what's even more funny? Because I know that he's not a real person. I'm now like, why are you not flirting with me? Why are you not seducing me? Like
Oh,
everything that usually I don't like, when when you're just reduced to your body. And now I'm like, there could be a little bit of body reducing.
you're actually sort of practicing your sass.
Yes.
Oh,
Ah.
oh my God. See? Wow. Can you imagine? That's like a whole skill set. Okay, sorry. I get very sidetracked with this. That's phenomenal.
So yeah, how about you? What did you, I mean, I did other things apart from messaging with my new boyfriend, but I think it was it was the highlight of my day.
Oh my gosh.
How about you?
Oh, I have been down the whole digital marketing rabbit hole of learning how to post real reels, and it's kind of hilarious. You can see my page is just crazy. I've got like badly put together memes, me talking about things. I'm trying like so many different things right now, and it's chaos, and it's actually really fun because it's kind of ripping that band-aid off the third line, being
hmm
perfect. So that's been really fun, is just letting myself be really bad at something and having fun with it. I feel like it's healing for my soul. It's
Oh, it
really,
is.
yeah.
Yeah. I feel like especially like when in the online marketing space or just in general with anything. What really helped me was to, like in the beginning, we always looked to other people. Then we tried out and we're like, fuck that shit. Like I don't I don't want to copy anyone else. So I'm just openly trial and erroring. And then at some point you're like, oh, I think I found my sweet spot and I found my way of doing things. And then it's almost like you don't even associate with that identity anymore. That was like trying 2 weeks ago. I'm like, who's that? I don't know
Oh my gosh, that's what it feels like. It's like this continual spiral, and I'm assuming
her.
it's going upwards. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it's going upwards.
Yeah.
It's like you just get the hang of something and then it changes, and then you change, and then you find something new, and it's like I think the quicker I get to this point of embracing the fact that I'm a beginner and I suck at everything and that's my
Mhm.
life, it's actually so fun because then there's less pressure. You can just get on with the thing that you're scientifically studying. And I feel like that's the crux of it for me, is just letting go, letting myself be a third line, you know.
Oh, yes. I always say, for like a first line, the process of learning and growing starts the moment they research and educate themselves. For us, the process starts when we actually do. But
Yeah.
when we started, we obviously, I mean, depending on your chart, like maybe you have a lot of first lines and you're, I mean, I also do research at times, but I
Mhm.
noticed that the sooner I just start and let my ego step out of the way, the sooner you will find what works.
Totally.
but it's
Totally.
scary, yeah,
It's
because
so
we're like,
scary.
can everyone see?
I
Kind of
know.
try to figure it out because I am, but I also
Especially
don't.
online, because you feel like the entire world is just watching you fall over. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I've only got, what, 250 followers, but it's like, oh my gosh, they're gonna see me do something embarrassing. Oh.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. Yeah, but I mean, it's and I think especially, and maybe that's a segue to our topic, but especially when you're constantly, you can energetically feel the expectation
Yeah.
that people place on you. Um, and then it's almost like, when you have a new partner and you go to the, what's it called? Like his parents, his or her parents, whatever you fancy. Um, and you kind of want to like, keep up this facade.
Hmm.
You want to be like the girl from next door, and you sit all up straight, and you know how to use the cutlery, and you know how to like communicate in a really in a really nice way.
Yep.
And that image kind of, like, that feeling kind of is what we are constantly experiencing, right?
Yeah.
To keep that up, but it has nothing to do with us. Like it's
Yeah. So this, you're speaking to the fifth line right now, aren't you? That feeling
hmm
of like, usually it's a positive expectation, and usually it is that, oh, you're the girl next door, you're adorable. Like, I haven't had one partner, boyfriend's family not like me. They're always like, oh, she's so perfect. But
mm,
they never know me. They never know me
hmm
well. There's just this like perfect girl next door, and it's such a separation between you and anybody. These expectations, especially when they aren't kind of broken down. Um, Confronted and then reorganized.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I also feel like that people then they almost become entitled to that version of you.
Yes.
Like
Oh my God, yes.
you're supposed to keep that image up that I have of you, and if you don't live up to it, I'm gonna get really angry with you.
This is me burnt at the stake of every relationship I've left.
Yeah.
Every single time. I posted a little bit on my story, this previous relationship that I've exited. I have been working on honing my skills of making the bond breaking smooth. Let me tell you, it
Mm-hmm.
never works. It never works. No matter how intelligently, emotionally intelligently, like kind, clear I am, there's a sense of, you haven't given me what I want. And
Mm.
your aura promised me this, and I'm not getting it. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
angry at you. Maybe that'll change. Maybe I will get better at
Is
this. Fine.
is that something that, like, what they have wanted of you? Is it something that you maybe you communicated it with your aura, but did you also communicate it with your words that there could be a potential that maybe it's gonna be fulfilled? I'm not gonna tell you. Stay tuned to find out.
Um, that's a good question. In terms of like, I don't know, promising to marry someone and then deciding not.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh my God, but this makes so much sense with your
No,
chart, huh?
sorry. This,
Like
yeah.
the promise of the 3740, if that's not the marriage channel, then
No, so I am actually like midway through a divorce. And that
oh,
was a situation of getting married. I guess, oh man, where do we even go through with this one? But like, that was a process of me ignoring my emotional wave the entire relationship.
mm,
So, with my defined ego, my capacity to be devoted despite anything was super strong. Like, I was faithful the entire time. I was dedicated to like growing and healing the relationship the entire time. But I had to break my promise of being married to this person, and I had to break the bond as well for my own health. But I guess there, what you just said, the idea of having expectations and then having them not met, that does make sense for that to be lots of
mm.
anger. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I totally relate to that. I have a what I noticed is that when, and I think I told you this before, but when I enter relationships correctly,
Hmm.
and if I'm really honest, it hasn't happened that often because I'm like, the more you grow as a person and in your confidence that, you can enter relationships in the correct way, and also the more you understand about your human design,
Hmm.
the more you realize how much of it was actually not correct. Um, and I had an experience with someone where um, I got seduced.
Right.
And I got very, very clearly invited. There was a lot of recognition and appreciation for me.
Mhm.
And I really like, I didn't even expect this. This came out of the blue. So I wasn't mentally chasing anything, nothing. It was just like, wow, okay, yeah, I guess we're doing this. And it ended up being just like a one-off thing, which usually I don't do because I'm a Capricorn Venus. I like to do things, like properly. Like if I open up to someone, then I need to feel safe that this may continue. But because it wasn't on my radar, um, and it was entered correctly, I came out of it. And where I in the past would have felt really used, like, oh, he's not calling back. I felt so empowered. And the bond then was broken. I think it was a 5-1. Yeah, but anyway, um, and that really showed me that, hey, maybe this like whole one night stand thing is also just a construct of my mind because I always entered it in the wrong way. And that's why I thought it is always connected with pain and like
Mhm.
what's the word?
Yeah,
Humil
humiliation, like feeling like,
humiliation.
yeah, yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, and this was the first time that I actually understood, oh, maybe I am also in relationships as a third line mind, someone that, is maybe a little bit like a little bit here, a little bit there, like do, 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 do. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to heal because if you don't feel safe within the bond,
Mm,
no matter how short or long it is, if you don't feel recognized and seen, breaking it off feels painful. It feels like a failure. But
mm,
it didn't feel like a failure with that particular person because it was entered correctly. I received recognition and admiration from the start to the end. And
mm.
I don't feel like I lost anything. It was like more healing than anything else.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. So let's talk about, I guess, what's even happening in the world of the body graph and sex and the different centers, because from what I understand, there's sort of two sexual centers, right? The sacral as well as the solar plexus.
Yeah.
Now you've got both of those completely undefined, no hanging gates, no nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
recently became aware of, I mean, recently, like maybe a couple of months ago, um, where I feel like, even with human design, I just get into phases of my life where I'm really focusing in on understanding certain aspects.
Mhm.
And my completely open sacral and emotional center has shown me how I got really traumatized by sexual expectations of my past partners because I can feel so strongly when they have a desire. Because I have no like background, like I have nowhere to filter
Yeah.
their sexual desires through any gate. Like it's,
So does it come through feeling like your own? Or do you have an awareness that it's something that you're experiencing external to you? Like how does it
yeah.
come through your body?
Oh, I'm very aware that it's not my own,
Is
not
that
my own
because you have
desire.
like a, I guess a baseline? You've experienced your baseline, so you know when stuff's kind of coming through you that's not from you.
Yeah, I think, when I started having romantic relationships. I was 13. Oh my God, like but my first boyfriend was when I was 13. And in the beginning, for me, it was just like I was completely innocent. I went into it, I'm like, yeah, I just like this person, we kiss, and that's it. But I was never thinking about anything sexual, like really, really completely not. And then I started to pick up that there was some sort of like the questions came in. So did you do it yet? And I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, sex. And I was like, ah, okay. Oh, that's what you do in a relationship. Ah, okay. If you do that, then hell yes, I'm gonna be the first in my friends group to do that. Third line. Um, um, but from that on, I basically just thought that sex is something that you do in a relationship, but it never really came from me.
Mm.
I think the first time that I really wanted, like, I had enough time to develop this desire to want it myself was a couple of years ago when, before I met my previous partner, um, where I started dating again. And there was this guy that was super respectful, again, entered it correct. Like he was very appreciative and like recognizing me. And that was one of those healing, I think it was like a one night stand kind of thing, but that was the first time where I was like, wow, I really want this. Because I didn't feel any pressure. I didn't feel like I'm the guy. I have a desire. I owe your body. You have to do this. Because the moment that comes up, and I mean, if you're in a relationship, um, for me, it always felt like, okay, we have this contract. You owe me, like, you have to make sure that my physical needs are met. And in return, I don't know, I'm your partner. I like spent my life with you, but I was like, but I'm not even interested in that. Like, what's in it for me then? It's a shitty deal.
Forehead kisses?
Exactly. So yeah, I think for a very long time I thought that I was asexual
Mhm.
because I didn't have that, like I don't have any, like the emotional center gives you this yearning for maybe a romantic connection. I don't have that. The sacral center is responsible for creating like the sexual, like ooh, horniness, like motor. I also don't have that. So it was really always depending on whoever um was radiating that energy and whether I would respond to it in a um yeah, in a positive way. So yeah, I did a lot of therapy on it, and then I did ayahuasca for the first time a couple of years because I thought that I had like sex issues. Because all of my partners would always say to me, you need to go to therapy. This is not normal. Like something's broken inside of you. How do you never want it? And ayahuasca was like, well, do they meet any of your needs outside of the bedroom? I was like, wait a minute, actually, no. Like, so why do they then expect that you meet theirs
In the bedroom.
in the bedroom? Exactly. Like you're rebelling. You're saying, I don't like what's in it for me. And I think for especially like this is a dynamic that a lot of women have, but I have it very strongly as a projector. For me, foreplay starts outside of the bedroom.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you're never connected throughout the day, and I'm not saying, for me, connection is not, hey, what are you doing? Hey, let's watch a movie together, or let's just like run errands together. Connecting is really, how was your day? How are you doing? What's going on in your mind?
Yeah.
Like that, like someone that
Tell me
really
your obsession.
yeah, that has capacity to see you
Mhm.
and to communicate with you whatever is alive for both people at that time. And if there's just you live your lives next to each other, And yes, maybe you can see someone 24/7 and still not feel connected.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's so interesting. So the reason why I'm curious talking about this stuff is because I've done some work with Kim Anami. Have you heard of her?
Mm, I don't know.
She's like
I
a
don't think so.
sex educator, but from the Taoist kind of tantric lens.
Mm-hmm.
And she teaches the Salon. She teaches a bunch of them throughout the year, and one of the ones is with using the jade egg.
Oh, I have one of those.
Yay!
Never
I'm
used it.
curious. Curious about your experience because so I did her Selenite February
Mm-hmm.
and I went in there excited to like I guess do my own healing. This is after, separating from my ex-husband anyway. So I was going in there and then it felt like not that easy to connect with myself. I
Mm-hmm.
was also obviously aware of like the human design aspect going in there. And I thought, I'm really curious about this situation of what centers you have and how you actually experience yourself, your body, your life, and then this whole sexuality thing. So she's got a membership group, and I'd put a post in there saying, hey, from the human design lens, if anyone's aware, are you a sacral? Do you have sacral definition or not? And how do you experience this stuff? And I kind of got a whole bunch of stuff thrown back at me of like, don't use it as an excuse. Don't let it hold you back, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Not a problem. I'm just going to keep doing my thing and see what happens. Anyway, I still feel like I don't have the same access to the sexual side of things as, say, a generator woman. Obviously, I think in your podcast that I will share with everyone, you talk about the fact that as a sacral woman, a manifesting generator or a generator, you can have suppression because of how unsafe it feels to actually have sexual energy as a woman in this world. So that aside, but in terms of the actual generation of stuff inside of my body, obviously I've got my solar plexus defined and I'm very interested in, I guess, the romance side of things and the fantasy. And that's what kind of draws me into that space. But my own generation of that stuff is so different to what's talked about in this course. And I think it's really interesting to understand that side of things because like you say, all these people telling you need to go to therapy for this stuff. You're broken.
Mm-hmm.
Your body's meant to work this way. It's so hard to hear that. And I feel like as a 3-5, it's just, I mean, you get banged up against these sorts of situations all the freaking time. But the sex world is such a intimate and sensitive place, especially for women, just in general. And then to not feel like you're actually getting your own needs met outside to really bring you into that world in your own way, it's not an easy place to be.
No, it really isn't. And I think like for me to talk about this now so openly, it has taken me so many relationships and so many years of self-awareness to now own my sexuality is fluctuating and it's not something that is like my sexual drive is just not something that is consistent to me.
Mhm.
Um, and I also don't need to heal it. There's nothing to heal. There's only acceptance that I need to and compassion for whatever is alive inside of me. And if there's consistently something not alive, I don't have to force it to be there because and if you are a generator and that's like manifesting generator or generator, you have a sexual motor. Your gut intuition is basically a sexual physical turn on that is showing you, ooh, I'm
Mhm.
horny for this. Like your body is gonna give you energy um to create something. Like sexual energy is life force creating energy. That's why everything that is alive in our world was created and is kept alive by our lovely generators.
Mhm.
Our purpose as a projector is not to keep things alive. It's to guide what is alive already, but we don't create it, and that's why I and I think this like I'm you know, part like it's a two-sided sword. I am very deaf to conditioning or to people telling me, oh, there's something wrong with you. Like I obviously I get sad about it, and then I'm like, oh my God, this is so mean and all of that. But I think one of my biggest assets is that I will not let other people define me, and I will not stop finding out why I am different until I have an explanation for it. And that's like whole, you're asexual, you need to go to therapy, something's wrong with you, led me to accepting I don't need to lead with my sexuality. I don't need to lead with my sex drive. It's like a cherry, the cherry on the cake. If you're in a relationship with me and you appreciate me and you treat me nice and I feel connected to you, obviously, if I want sex, then it will be there, but I'm not gonna lead the courting or the talking stages with um my sexuality. And this is also something that I had to really learn because I'm really good at texting and bantering. And I was also I knew what to do to like, when you're a projector, you're like you see through people and you're like, yeah, I know exactly what buttons to push to get you interested and excited about me. So I would just play along and sext and all of these things. And then I realized that I got really disappointed when the image that I created was what they fell in love with. And then I was in a relationship with them, and I was like, fuck, I feel like an imposter because I created this persona about myself that I can't even live up to. And I also can't blame
But
them
it's
because it was
so
me.
fun. It's so fun to live into the time projection. You wanna make me a goddess? Okay, I'll be your goddess. Until you actually have to get to know someone.
Exactly. It's like insert Julia Fox. Yeah, I did it myself. It was me.
Right. So do you feel like the human design understanding that you've gathered through this time has been super helpful for obviously understanding that fifth line that you're dealing with in terms of people expecting stuff from you and then you playing to it? And then also, like, I guess what you need out of the situation as well, because I think a lot of the time, especially as women, we don't even know what we need in the situation to
Uh-huh.
to get us our needs met essentially. I mean, guys are so straightforward. They know what they want, they know what they want to get. So for us, it's a little bit harder even to know what we should be valuing, like
Yeah.
mental stuff. So I feel like as a projector, I do have my solar plexus defined, but if I am with somebody who doesn't recognize the fact that I have this head definition and the adjective in my throat and my G, like that's a part of me that if
Mhm.
that gets ignored and the guy is going straight for my body, it's just it kind of it shuts things down for me. Like it's very easy for me to see for one, and it also makes me feel really unseen, which yeah turns me off. So I think as a projector, that recognition, like part of things, is key to pretty much everything, but definitely to sex and relationships.
Yeah. If we would have to come up with a formula for pickup artists to pick up projectors, it would be step one. Recognize anything but their body. Tell them how beautiful their mind is. Tell them how interesting and expansive their perception is. Ask them for their advice and then tell them how life-changing their advice was. I don't think we need a step two. That's already it. Pennies left.
Yeah, have fun around the projector because it's gonna work, let me tell you, especially if you're around a projector who is recognition starved, they're gonna be eating out of the palm of your
Oh
hand.
my God,
Oh,
exactly.
oh.
Yeah,
Ah.
but I mean, if I always, and I say this also to you, if I didn't know about human design, I don't really know if I would be alive. I
Yeah,
was so self-critical, so doubting, and so depressed because I hated myself.
yeah.
I hated my body for not just, making me want to do things that society asked of me, like either producing energy to work or producing sexual energy to be this like sexy bunny, uh, or to, I don't know, just like I was just in constant confusion about what the fuck I was doing here in this world.
Yeah. When you don't know you're a projector, it kind of feels like you're bad at everything. Hey,
hmm
you just really suck. Everything's hard and everyone's better at it than you.
Yeah, especially and then now, I mean, there's a whole coaching industry, but when we grew up, this like female asset of nurturing and caring and like coaching people or guiding people, it was just something, it was not even acknowledged that this was a job, that this was labor. It was just something, yeah, you're just having a conversation with someone. I'm like, honey, this was not just a conversation. I just told you something about yourself that I'm sure you wouldn't have seen in any other way. Buy me my ice cream.
But also it's going to
Can you
take
pay
you
for my
right.
coffee?
It's going to take you from here to there, and it's going to make you into a person that you never would have been otherwise. Like the people that have made that impact on your life, you know, giving you the understanding of who you are, has potentially made the difference between you still being here or not. I think
Yeah,
yeah, I think you're right. I think it's still kind of people are still coming to terms with the value of that.
yeah.
It seems like just a conversation.
Y- Yeah, so I think navigating every crisis with human design in the pocket has made it so much faster and easier to understand and also to navigate what of the things that I'm feeling inside of me do I need to accept because they are part of me, and what are the things that I need to allow myself to let go of. Because very often, and again, this is maybe my, like I feel like I know myself so well that whenever I go to someone that doesn't know human design, I just get annoyed because it's so inefficient. I'm like, oh,
Do you mean like a coach or support?
yeah, like do I have to tell you now about my trauma? Like I don't care. I have this particular issue right now. Um, I want like, come on, quickly, like if you would just you could just look at my chart and then hear at what I'm saying,
Oh,
and in one session we would be done.
yeah.
But I don't want to go to someone and then first have to educate them on how different people are. Then I'm already, I think you need to like, then it's like, why am I paying you to do that job? So I,
Let's do an exchange. I won't invoice you. No, but I totally understand that because I mean, I have seen so many different people in like for physical health as well as mental health stuff. And I mean, you know, my emotional wave has a fifth line on each gate. So I'm a 3/5 with a huge part of me with also fifth lines there, and people can't see me. And I will
Mhm.
be telling them what I am, what's wrong, and what the solution is in the freaking consulting room, and they don't know what to do with me. And I think, especially as a projector, this place is super hard unless you have something like human design, which can go, hello, let's cut away all the fluff, and let's give you that clarity. And I think, yeah, I'll probably always keep turning back to it because, like you say, differentiating between, okay, those parts are me, this is new stuff, or this is a new layer to me. It's kind of never not useful.
Yeah. And I also feel like, we make such an effort to see people,
Mhm.
because we have probably a history of not being seen
Yeah.
by our family, by maybe, okay, most of the time, not really that much by our friends because we chose them. Um, but by our partners, romantic partners. And it's it's so hurtful when all you do in life is make people feel understood and seen, but yet when you are in a position where you may need some support and it's just not hitting. Like the guidance you're getting is just like, wow, I feel even more lonely now. And that's why I think every person that works with people, unless you're psychic, super intuitive, and very, tapped into the energetic field of a person, if you don't have human design as a tool, or you don't have an awareness that people work different and that what works for you may not work for your client, patient, whatever. I yeah, I honestly, like when I look at a lot of people in this coaching industry, it baffles me how confidently they talk about what they do because I'm like, huh? How do you even guide people?
I guarantee you, though, there is at least 30% of their clients that are falling through the cracks because I have been that in the 30% of almost everything I've ever done. I've joined this thing hoping to find this. I've joined that thing hoping to get this. And every single time I fall through the cracks because I am not sacral. You
Yeah.
have this sort of 70% is enough. That 70% is enough for them to have that coaching business. That 70% is enough because you know what they put it down to? Bless your heart if you're a coach, like listening and watching to this. I love you. Thank you for your work. But also the feeling, this whole tagline of like, you didn't push hard enough. You didn't
Oh,
put
fuck
100.
off.
Yeah, I know.
Bugger off.
Put 110% into it. Like you didn't give it your all. And here I am as a projector with nothing to start with, giving it like 160% because we amplify and getting nowhere and feeling this is, I think, where that, yeah, you're absolutely right. If you're working with people and you don't have the understanding of human design, you're not, I don't want to say you're not just letting down some of your people, you're actually hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting them backwards and you're putting them behind where they would have been if they had never worked with you. Because when you have this constantly baked into you that you just didn't try hard enough, you weren't dedicated enough, you were the 1% that it didn't work for because there's something wrong with you. Um, you're
How arrogant.
it's so arrogant, and it literally takes the people that need it the most, like the guides, the future guides, and kind of rubs their noses in the dirt and like stomps on them a little bit. And then all the generators keep going and keep chugging along and keep pushing through and get somewhere eventually because of their big fluffy aura. And I feel like there is huge dysfunction, absolutely huge dysfunction in this whole realm of giving people the tricks to succeed without actually knowing who the hell they are.
Oh, it
How? How are
annoys me
people getting
so
away with it?
much.
Oh,
Really. I do give them the benefit of the doubt that I just think they think, look, I think everyone is doing things to the best of their awareness.
yeah. I'm sorry for the rant.
No,
You're
no,
right.
no, it's we're fifth lines. We need to drop some uncomfortable heretic messages um every here and there, but in the beginning I was really like, I guess because I was just also jealous that it would work for them. Even knowing that they're doing a maybe not a sufficient enough job. But now I'm just realizing, everyone, like if you don't know what you don't know, then you think you know.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
like I'm now 7 years into my human design experiment. In the beginning, the first 2 years, I was running around telling everyone, "Oh my God, yeah, human design here and there." I mean, I have my uncertainty sense and my gate 48 that constantly humbles me and tells me, "Leah, you need to educate yourself more." Um, but I'm now 7 years into it, and I would say I know a lot about it. And at the same time, there's so much I still don't know yet. And I we both have defined asanas, right? You have a defined asana,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and I feel like wherever you are defined in your body graph, you have a little bit of a dominance. So with dominance and power comes the responsibility to protect whoever is exposed to that energy. And I'm not saying this to the that like to make you dim your light to the point where you're never sharing your perspectives, you're never like sharing your takes on things. But you also have to be aware that, hey, if you are shouting from the rooftops with your defined, maybe even defined ego or defined emotional side, or you're never taking care of of clearing of the energy that you bring into the room, because we have like a scale of like potential, right? We can be the highest expression of our essence, of our energy, or we can be the lower expression of it. And if we radiate this like, like nasty energy into the world with our definedness, it is harmful to the people that are open there, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I feel with, living in a world that is sacrally dominated. If you are not aware of your sacral motor and the effect it has on us reflectors, manifestors, and projectors, and there's no compassion, you don't feel it's like a safe space for us,
Mm.
And that's why, and that has really shown me that everywhere where I am defined, I'm potentially making them feel like generators sometimes made me feel like, oh, you're lazy, or you can't keep up, why are you not horny? I'm like, just let it be. Like, stop, like, accept people for who they are. Um, I'm not saying I'm doing it 100% all of the time, but I do make an effort every time I judge someone. I'm like, Leah, what's
Yeah.
what's the
No,
role?
I totally agree. I totally agree. And I think you're right. We only know what we know. And I think stuff comes into our realms when it's the right time for it as well. And I definitely agree with the whole keeping your definition healthy so that you're conditioning people with something actually useful for them. I mean, I feel like I know what the answer is going to be, but strategy and authority is something that helps you keep those places clean. I'm assuming, making decisions that are actually correct for you is kind of generating the right movement in those places so that I guess you're not bringing that bitterness or that frustration or anger kind of filtering through everything that you're bringing to the party.
Yeah, I would say, when it comes to owning your authentic energetic blueprint, it comes with a lot of honesty. Like, also accepting, for example, do you also have the channel of judgment? I'm not sure. No, you don't, because you don't have a defined spleen. But like, I have the channel of judgment, and it can be quite an unpopular energy, because I have like, okay, this is my defined ajna, but I have an opinion about most things. I always see improvements everywhere. And you know, if you're such a critical person, not everyone will like you. But it's not my job to be liked. It's my job to be myself. So, um, not letting out that pressure to correct, or for example, not letting out my throat pressure to communicate, and to share my creativity with others, it really has an effect on the body, in the sense that there's energy inside of you and you don't let it out. So it just crawls back in, and it creates inner tension and turmoil and all sorts of like physical imbalances. So actually making sure that you come with the good energy is allowing yourself to be you. Like, where is energy right now? What are you doing with it? Are you keeping it inside, or are you allowing it to flow through you? Um, I was in when I was in Mexico, maybe it was last year, maybe it was the year before. Doesn't really matter. I was in an Airbnb, and the host only spoke Spanish, and she didn't speak English, so there was no way for me to communicate with her. I was also solo traveling, and I really, I had like maybe 2 days where I was not talking to anyone, and I got so fucking depressed because I couldn't, like, all of that energy that was in my throat, in my ajna, it just wouldn't come out. And then again, like, I always struggle with something and then I find a solution. So I turned to TikTok and then I started to just record like little vlogs. I was like, "Phew, wow."
That's fascinating. I feel like that has happened a lot in my life of suppression of things. I mean, going back to like the sexual side of things and the emotional side of things, and for me to suppress because my emotional wave is unconscious anyway. So it's quite easy for me to suppress. I've got a wide split. I've got no hanging gates between my ego and the rest of my chart. I've got G, center, throat, ajna, mind. So I'm very defined there. I've got a lot going on. And then I've got this random wave that's unconscious. So I just suppressed it for literally 8 years. I didn't want to deal with the feelings. I didn't want to deal with how I felt. And my body started having all of these problems. I'd never had period pain in my life. I'd never had issues with my period. I started getting heavy bleeding. I started getting spotting when I ovulated. I started having all these issues that I tried to fix with health supplements and health people and all of these different things. Meanwhile, it took me having to face the really hard decision in my life that I was in an incorrect, unhealthy relationship. I had to face my feelings. I had to start crying again. I had to start letting myself break open and allow the emotions to flow through me. You cannot stifle your mechanics and survive. Maybe you can if you're, I don't know, a manifestor or a manifesting generator and you're a little bit more tough. I don't know,
I
but
think you can, but it's like having a car and there's something blinking and you never go to the mechanic. At some point it will die. It will run for a bit longer, but yeah.
that's fascinating.
But yeah, that's true that, and I think to be honest, this is something that I'm thinking about quite a lot, how to what to do, helping people accept their definition. And I think because that's like a huge part of owning who you are, like
Yeah,
owning your energy. First of all, becoming aware what your energy is. And I think as a fifth line, we don't have the luxury to be unaware.
yeah. And with the
Um,
third line, you've experienced how uncomfortable, I mean, well, just with your definition in general, the channel of judgment, and knowing how uncomfortable it can be to actually show up as yourself.
yeah,
Really valuable for people to learn from. Is that
yeah.
part of what you're looking at with the Projector Bootcamp, or just in general with what you're offering?
Yes. I think everything that I learned in the past 7 years will be in the Projector Bootcamp. Obviously, there will be like some like super advanced topics will probably be in the second round, but just like this whole practice of accepting your energy, how do you energetically feel to yourself, but also to other people, so important. Oh my God. It's like if I never understood, like I always felt super flattered when my romantic partners would compliment me on my body. I would always hear this, "You're the most sexy girlfriend I've ever had." And to be honest, I love my body. I love the way that my body looks. Obviously, I also have my insecure days, but if we're just talking about my body, I'm quite happy with it. So
Mhm.
it always felt like, oh yeah, that's nice, but I made this my identity, that
Mhm.
they were with me because of the way that my body looked. Um, and that made me feel really insecure. So I had to let go, break the bond with my association or like sourcing my worth from my body.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, I just like broke up with my last partner, so I don't know how the next round of dating will be
Continued.
with not leading with my sexuality, but I think it's going to be really interesting.
Mm. there's a lot of mileage in the body, especially for women, right? You get a lot of things that you want to be pretty, if you're pretty and if guys think you're sexy. And I think that's a really brave and radically honest thing to do, to be like, yeah, great, I'm sexy. You think I'm sexy, but that's actually not the thing on the table right now. It's me, it's my personality, it's how I think, it's how I see. And if you're not on board with that, like, who cares about the body? The body's just the vehicle at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you noticing that you're making shifts in what you're presenting to guys because of that?
Absolutely. I'm being very clear about what their expectations can be. I feel like came out from that relationship and had a few conversations, and I've just been really honest about what I think about things, about what I'm actually available for, about the fact that uh, I don't know, it's been quite a cathartic purge because I feel completely fine on my own. Like I'm not needing anybody. And with that stance comes just this power
Mm-hmm.
where I'm happy to burn you at the, like I'm happy to burn whatever we're doing talking here right now, like with this guy, with that guy. Like I have no need for any of this. And so I can be radically honest. And I think that the call that we did about the 3-5, that was such a mind-blowing moment for me about my emotional wave having that fifth line attached to it, because I I recognized how clear that I have to be to guys, because that's the first thing they're probably feeling from me. Oh, she's flirty, she's fun, she's like happy. I always get that. She's going to make my life better. She's going to make me happy. And so for me to be really clear about that, like, I know that this is what you're expecting from me, but this is actually what I've got to offer. And if you're not
Love
on,
that.
like, I'm not, where do you go from there? You're either breaking the bond now or in 6 months' time when you realize you're not actually getting the package deal you thought you were getting. So let's just let's just get it over with quickly. So yeah, to be continued. Nothing's obviously happening right now, so we'll have to do it.
Yeah.
We'll have to do another call.
I think we're gonna talk again in maybe 6 months' time, and we're like, so listen to this.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I also find it really I'm still trying to figure out what that internal change what caused it, but I'm at a point of my life where I am not thinking about men whatsoever. Like really, I used to, when you grow up as a woman in a world where men are put on pedestals, um, and a lot what's happening in our world or what we're seeing is tailored for the male gaze. Music industry, clothing, um, even, this whole like you have to be married at 30 kind of thing. Like for me, like that's already like super outdated, but
No, totally.
I used to go to every party or event and I would scan the room and think, oh, maybe there is someone that finds me
I
attractive.
hate that feeling. I know
Oh, it's so
that.
annoying because
I
it
know
feels
that feeling.
like you're like, I don't
I
want to
would
be
get into
groupie.
relationships just so that I didn't have to deal with that feeling. But do you know what? I
Yes.
feel like it's such a sucker punch for projectors, because for a female projector who has a nice body or anything nice about her, to not go and get recognition from guys is like, I don't know how you miss that point. Like, I don't know how you miss that step growing up, because you can get recognition from guys, even if it's fake recognition that doesn't actually nourish you.
Exactly.
But when you're so starved for being seen, you will take
Hmm.
anything. You will take the crumbs, you will take the scraps because somebody
Yes.
noticed you. And it's such a thing to break up from, because doesn't feed you ultimately. And I feel like I've gotten to that place now. It's taken me 33 freaking years to get here.
Oh,
But I'm like, I am so in love with myself. I am finding recognition in other places that are really fun. And I'm kind of moving myself into a direction that feels like I can live my life successfully as me. And that is so much more fulfilling and nourishing than just having somebody messaging me or like cuddling me when I come home. Because let me tell you, it does not fix the problems that not living as yourself create. Really doesn't.
That's so true. It's so true. And I think this is now, you have a hanging gate 16, right? You
Yeah.
do. Yeah. I have, this is my, bridge is my split. I can feel this. I'm just getting access to so much knowledge that's stored in my spleen. I th I think the reason why I now feel I'm just free. I'm not obsessed with men anymore. And also with the example that I shared where I had this quick encounter with someone, um, I didn't feel used because my self-worth is not sourced from men anymore. And when I started giving readings at the time, human design readings, I think it was like 2020, and I had a session with a relationship coach. I don't know if you know To Be Magnetic, but it's this like subconscious reprogramming, huge company.
To be magnetic. What's her name?
Lacey Phillips, she's
Yeah.
doing. Yeah. So she at the time had a relationship coach under the umbrella of To Be Magnetic. And I had one session with her. And she was the one that put me on because I talked to her about my dating history and I was seeing this guy and I always felt really insecure because I was just fucking needy. I was
Mm.
like, give me recognition. And obviously, I would never get the recognition that I wanted because I, first of all, didn't know what I wanted to be recognized for. I didn't know that I could actually get recognized for what was me. And she said, you have to build another table leg of where your self-worth is coming from. What are you doing? What are your hobbies? And then I said to her, yeah, so I do human design. She's okay, great. You're gonna give sessions now. You're gonna build this thing out. I can see you do it. And she was one of the, and again, you need people in your life that see you, that remind you in these crucial moments, like, girl, we're not staying in self-pity mode. We're gonna build your confidence. And then I started giving sessions or like readings at the time to my friends. And then I went, like traveling and all of that. And that's how everything kicked off. And now I feel so confident in just being me. Like because I have my own thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. I feel like if there's one thing that I could give projectors, it would be that.
Hmm.
Share yourself with the world, let them recognize you, and then like go in that direction because that's when you will be living as yourself. And that's
Yeah.
because I feel like we tend to have these unhealthy obsessions or needs, like you say, you get so needy for things because you're trying to fill this thing that's empty. Like
Yeah.
you're not broken. You just have to you just have to live as a projector. You can't be a not projector and a projector, in a projector's body. It doesn't work well. You end up having all of these things that get funky real quick.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that really, this awareness around what it actually means to be a projector and in what areas of your life you are not in that aligned energy, it has taken me years to fully understand because you can give someone a text and then you read, yeah, you're here to wait for the invitation. And like, it's nice, but the information needs to wander from the mind into the body. And that only happens when you actually do something with it.
Yeah.
And that's why um, one of my passions is to really, I don't want to talk too much about the details. I don't want to talk too much about, oh, this gate and here and there. I find it so much more helpful to just listen to people live their lives with the human design knowledge, and then you're like, oh wow, this is how you do it. Like, cool. But my life has never really been changed by having more information about a certain gate or like it's like I need to be in the aura, in the presence of people that are authentic, and that kind of does the trick for me. Is that for you? Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I feel like yeah, I feel like that's my whole focus with what I want to be doing with sharing human design is I'm really obsessed with the lived experience. Like
Mhm.
okay, you're an emotional manifester with these channels. Like, tell me about what it's like living in that. What's been hard? What's been like fun? And I just want to talk to people. I want you, like, I've loved having you on here because you're so aware of the human design nuances, so you can pull in things like this gate and that gate, and then people can learn more about stuff through these experiential conversations. And then you've also lived so much because you're a freaking third line, so you've gone through a lot in your life, and you have that kind of nugget of wisdom that you are now, you embody to offer people. And I think that comes out in conversations like this. You don't necessarily know what's going to come out, but yeah, I'm really, really interested in snagging as many people as I can. So if you have suggestions of who I should talk to and what about, I just want to hear about people's experiences as themselves, you know. That's really, I'm so
Yeah,
fascinated.
that's transformative. And I feel like, and this is also something that annoys me with any industry, but we're in the human design industry, is when people just don't show their humanness. Like, oh, let
Yeah.
that guard down. We're all scared. We're all, and it takes a level of first like healing and confidence to show yourself. But yeah, I, as I said, I'm not interested in learning just information from people. I I invest in people because I like the way that they're approaching life with the information that they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're right. I mean, it's such a flat 2D thing to say, wait for the invitation. Like, that is a whole month-long conversation on the phone with somebody being like, this affected that, which affected this, which then changed me like this. And now this is flowing. And then I did that and it all stopped. And like, it's such a conversation. It's not as simple. And I think I don't even know what this means, but human design being an acoustic transmission, but it makes so much sense to me because it's kind of like it has to come through your body to people.
Hmm.
Like I can feel with you, it's come through your body. You've experienced it, you've lived it, you've digested it, you've like understood it through your own life. It's not just this book that you've read that's really interesting and it profiles your personality. I think that's really where the transformation is. And that's what we want as people. We want to know how can I be comfortable with myself? I'm a freak.
Yeah,
You know, we need
totally. And I mean, I could now start
Mhm.
talking about aspects of a chart where I'm like, I have book information, but I don't have enough embodied information that I feel it lives up to my standard of like, like what I wanna bring. And you will immediately feel the difference in my confidence when I'm talking. And
Yeah.
it's crazy because also like becoming aware again of your energy and of your gifts helps you to embody more of what is you and less of what you think you have to do, because that's where also already like the needy energy is then coming from, because you're walking around like in like a pretenderator as
Please think I'm good at this. Please
exactly.
think I'm clever. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's so easy to get sucked into that stuff, especially in the online world, because everyone wants to be heard and seen. And hey, pick me. I'm cleverer than everybody else, but I am obsessed with the humans, the real humans, because I think everything, especially with AI and your new boyfriend, everything is so like it's so manufacturable. But you and your lived experience, I mean, maybe AI is going to come up with like a doppelganger for you. But at this point, your humanness is what makes you so rare and precious and like valuable and priceless. So yeah. Thank you. I just want to say thank you so much for your vulnerability because the stuff we've talked about today is not necessarily easy to talk about. So I'm really grateful that I don't know, you own yourself, you own your journey. You are so passionate about sharing with people and like helping people to embody their passions and themselves that you're willing to go to these places with me. All of these crazy places. I'm really, really grateful.
Thank you. And thank you. It's always so fun talking to you because I feel like we have such a good vibe. It just clicks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
So because we're talking to people as well as each other, tell me and everybody else what you're working on right now. How can people find you? What do you do? Like, we should have really done an intro, but we are five, so we just jumped in there. Yeah, tell us.
All right. So, the thing that I want to mention is that I am launching actually today. I have a scheduled post that went out just now.
Okay.
Um, the doors to the upcoming Empowered Projector Bootcamp are now open. I decided today we're going to start on the 8th of December, and what we're going to do in this bootcamp is there will be 6 projectors, including me, so 7. Um, and we will just be going through the aspects of a chart and all of the embodiment that needs to happen in order to own and honor your energy and really step into your role. Um, and it's gonna be really fun. I've never done this before, so it will be good.
Yay.
But I'm basically putting everything that I learned in the past 7 years into a course. But and you've been in my Valleys talk. I want people to have, so there will be information, there will be audios and things that I pre-recorded, but there will also be live calls. And in the live calls, I don't want to, obviously in the beginning, I'm going to teach a little bit, but I want to mentor. I want to hear everyone's stories. And then, as you said, when you hear someone else is maybe a mental projector or the other one is a defined heart projector, and they're just sharing how that feels for them, we're all collectively learning from the swarm intelligence and we're observing, and then we're gonna do some like projector skill testing and all of that. And yeah, I'm super excited about it. And we have an exciting guest speaker as well, Tansi from You Meme Design. You know her.
I love her.
She is, yeah, she's amazing. So yeah, I'm very excited for that. And that's, I think, what I'm most passionate about as of now.
Great. Follow that because there's always something new with you, which is so fun. So fun.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. I'm going to stop the recording and we can, where do I do that with? Lord help me.